Hey you, yes you, are you sick and tired of filing your taxes with paper and pencil?
I hate tax season. I was gonna talk about the hit 1983 film WarGames starring Matthew Broderick, Sheedy and Dabney Coleman, but nope, gotta be a responsible citizen. There we go. Lucky for me, I ordered some old school computer software off eBay to help me file my taxes fast. It was made in the 80s, but it's supposed to be revolutionary. Okay, here we go. Got something. Wow, I definitely have hardware that can read this. Let's go install it.
Dial the number below and order your copy of Tax Attack 3000 and attack your tax to the max.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you for purchasing Tax Attack 3000.
Wow, it has a voice.
Please choose between the following options. 1. Install Tax Attack 3000. 2. Launch nuclear missile.
Well, I gotta install it. It says it's only 1 megabyte, so it shouldn't take too long. Oh. Well, I guess we have some time to kill. Let's talk about WarGames. WarGames is a lot of things at once. It's a PSA on nuclear war, it's a cautionary tale about the implementation of AI, but perhaps first and foremost, it's a computer hacking movie.
Shall we play a game?
This movie was released before I was born, so when I was younger, I had to endure god-awful movies that treated computer hacking in the most embarrassing way possible, like Swordfish and The Core, and holy lord, the brilliant abomination that is 1995's Hackers.
What's happening?
It's replicating, eating up memory. What do I do?
Type cookie, you idiot. I'll head him off at the pass.
No, WarGames was different because WarGames was actually good. Sure, it's dated, but watching this in 2019, it feels way less alien than whatever the hell's happening to Matthew Lillard in Hackers.
Yo.
WarGames starts off super strong by giving us a very tense opening scene. It takes place in a nuclear missile silo where a couple of Air Force officers, one played by a young Michael Madsen, begin their shift operating as the final button pushers to launch nuclear missiles if called upon. The night seems to be going routine until alarms sound, and from the looks of it, an order to launch a real nuke has been given. Communications go down, and so it's all on these two guys to press the right button combination, turn the key, and launch the nuke.
Turn your key, sir!
So, unbeknownst to the two missile commanders, it was a drill all along, and this guy's hesitance to launch the missile kicks off the rest of the movie because back at NORAD, Dabney Coleman convinces the top brass to remove the human element from the nuke launching process and replace it with their supercomputer AI, known as WOPR.
The WOPR spends all its time thinking about World War III. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, it plays an endless series of war games.
Then the movie introduces us to David Lightman, played by Matthew Broderick, giving us a classic Matthew Broderick performance, complete with that signature Matthew Broderick little chuckle.
Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
When he's not making his underpaid teacher's life a living hell, he's hanging out with his friend and classmate Jennifer, played by Sheedy.
Hey, Bo! Hey, Bo!
Oh, hi, Bo!
Hey, Bo! Hey, Bo! Bo!
David shows Jennifer his nerdgasmic bedroom, full of computer tech and electronic tech, and just tons of tech. And it's with this bounty of tech that David hacks into other computer networks, like his school's computer grading system, and changes his and Jennifer's grade.
You can't do that!
Already done.
So one night, nibbling on his din-din, David sees a mysterious advertisement for a computer game company. Wanting to get the details of the latest computer games before they come out, David decides to try to hack into their computer system by using an auto dialer to locate any computers in the surrounding area that might be connected to a phone line. Soon, David stumbles upon a computer system that he can connect to, the one that doesn't identify itself and keeps him locked out.
Games refers to models, simulations, and games which have tactical...
That must be them.
While David thinks he's hacked into the computer game company, he's actually connected to NORAD, specifically to the giant AI supercomputer WOPR. David's unable to get into NORAD's computer system, so he gets some help from some of his computer pals, who tell him to look into a name found in one of the games the mysterious computer listed, Falcon, in order to see if he can discover a backdoor password. So David spends several days doing an IRL Google search for Falcon, soon discovering he's listed as deceased. He also finds out that before Falcon died, he had a kid named Joshua who was killed in a car accident.
It can't be that simple. Wow. What? We're in.
Yeah, I don't think she cares, nerd. So David starts interacting with the computer, which he still thinks is a computer game company, and starts playing one of its games, Global Thermonuclear War, a simulated game that WOPR uses to best strategize a military response to a nuclear threat. This then triggers the actual NORAD command center to receive false incoming missile threats from what it thinks is the Soviet Union.
I have 7, correction 8. That's 8 Redbirds 2 degrees past apogee.
David eventually shuts down his computer, and the folks at NORAD figure out it was WOPR running a simulation.
It's a simulation! There's an attack simulation running! I'm sorry, sir. We don't know how it happened, but someone on the outside fed an attack simulation into the Matrix simulation!
And for the time being, a nuclear crisis is averted. The next day, however, David sees on the news that his hacking might have had some serious repercussions, and soon after, the government tracks him down and brings him into NORAD on suspicion of being a Soviet spy. David discovers that the computer is continuing to run the nuclear war simulation until someone wins, unleashing total panic at NORAD, whose officials apparently refuse the idea that everything on the screen is just WOPR playing a game.
We are at DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1?
Oh hey, it finally installed.
The installation has completed. Get ready for a hassle-free tax experience. Please choose between the following options. 1. Input tax deductions. 2. Select target for nuclear destruction.
Oh my god, I don't have any deductions this year. Help. No tax write-offs.
Are you sure? Not even donations to charity?
Oh right, I have those. So WarGames has a few different things going on at once, but as enjoyable as this movie is, it misses the mark on one of them. To sum up the plot's conflict, tension escalates at NORAD because nobody is quite sure that if what they're seeing on the screens is a WOPR simulation or a real nuclear threat. So throughout the movie, the DEFCON level slowly rises. But this gets a little frustrating. Exactly how many times do the folks at NORAD need to be told it's only a game before they believe it? They're told multiple times. And this computer engineer, who seems to know the most about WOPR, explains that WOPR spends all day, every day playing games and running simulations. Are they really just not getting it?
So actually, the Soviets are denying any increase in their submarine deployment. They want to know what the hell we're doing provoking them.
They're full of shit. We know they're down there.
I suppose when you're dealing with the possibility of 70 million deaths, it's better to be safe than sorry. Still, it's kind of weak as far as creating tension. The plot hinges on a giant room full of experts not believing what they're being told about WOPR, and instead going off their human instinct. But maybe that's the point. The bulk of the movie's tension is not, will WOPR start a nuclear war? It's, will the humans freak out for no reason and start a nuclear war? Even though WOPR is causing the chaos and confusion, it will be up to the humans whether or not World War III starts. So it's not just about a rogue supercomputer AI pressing the button, it's also about no matter who's in charge of pressing the button, it's gonna be an ugly outcome.
1 millisecond takes you beyond imagining, beyond tomorrow, and into the day after.
There were a lot of movies like this in the early 80s, and I feel like they weren't really intended as traditional entertainment. They weren't fun or dank, they were depressing. You were watching a 90-minute anti-nuclear war commercial featuring graphic scenes of the grisly consequences of nuclear fallout. With all of Falcon's diatribes on the futility of nuclear war, WarGames never really commits to the depressing cautionary tale. Because while the movie's situation is dire and World War III is barely avoided in the end, the filmmakers devoted a lot of effort to making this a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's full of charm and adventure and completely insane moments like this.
This corn is raw.
I know, isn't it wonderful? It's so crisp.
Of course it's crisp, it's raw.
Not like this. Not Steve Guttenberg slowly dying of radiation poisoning. It's a fun movie, despite the sort of clunky plot. And even though it explores the shortcomings of AI and hopelessness of nuclear war, it does fall short in one big area. And that's finishing David's story. The folks at NORAD learn that placing national security in the hands of a supercomputer is bad. The audience learns the downsides of launching nukes. But what does David learn?
Learn, goddammit.
David's carefree attitude toward hacking and breaking rules was what almost caused World War III. By the end of the movie, WOPR ends the simulation and everyone applauds. And that's really it. The movie just breaks out the credits and it's over. What this movie could have used is a follow-up scene. Maybe David decides to get rid of his computer equipment and take up a different hobby. Maybe he grows up to teach kids about using computers responsibly. Supposedly, an earlier draft of the movie had Dabney Coleman offering David a job at NORAD to replace his old assistant, Falcon. Any of those would have been satisfying endings, way more than the credits rolling over applause, like some goddamn SNL episode. But in spite of that, WarGames gets so much right. For starters, the cast is exceptionally good. On top of your principal cast of Matthew Broderick, Sheedy and Dabney Coleman, you have a whole assortment of secondary cast members played by faces you'll recognize. You got this guy, and you got this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and you got a young Michael Madsen. Their performances are good too. Part of that is due to the directing. The director, John Badham, who wound up taking over after the movie lost his first director, knew when to let the actors do their thing. Like this scene when David and Jennifer roll up to David's house and meet his dog, Bo. The camera just kind of sits there and lets Jennifer convincingly meet a golden retriever for the first time. And this moment between David and Jennifer stuck out too.
Let's see what we have so far. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Move!
It's almost clumsy how he gets her out of his seat. The movie's performances give it an unrehearsed, unpolished realness. However, the movie does have a few moments that come across as really bizarre.
I'll be down in a few minutes, all right, Dad?
Now! You'll come down now! I want this cleared up right away!
Come down here and do what your father asked you to.
Here, Dad.
But by and large, WarGames achieved a balance of authenticity, style, and pacing that makes it a fun movie to watch. It's rarely boring. The computer technology is old, but it's used in a realistic manner, not like these spinning dumbasses. I highly recommend watching this movie before Hollywood remakes it or makes a sequel. Oops, too late. WarGames, the Dead Code, was already a thing.
Initiating decontamination countdown. Happens at 0.
You don't want to know.
And it looks terrific. Whew, all done. You know, for 35-year-old software, Tax Attack 3000 really holds up. Now all that's left to do is file my taxes.
Please choose between the following options. 1. Initiate nuclear war. 2. File taxes, but also initiate nuclear war. 3. Don't file taxes.
Oh, that's a relief.
But then also launch some nukes. Just a little one. Come on, dude. Let's party.
I have no choice!